In a little over a year, the world will experience the most high-profile sporting event in Qatar, the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Architecturally, it will be stunning and state-of-the-art. This edition of the World Cup is unique. For the first time in the competition's history, it will be hosted in the winter to compensate for the brutal summer weather, and it's probably the most ill-talked about edition as well. There are many controversies, so much that a dedicated Wikipedia page has been made for it. This video will show you the story of how Qatar World Cup became infamous for controversies surrounding human rights abuses. In 2010, Qatar won the bid to organize the 2022 World Cup, and it will be the first Middle Eastern country to host it. Although investigations are still ongoing, the decision by FIFA to award the World Cup to Qatar has allegedly been quoted in corruption. This incident, amongst others, ultimately led to the surprise resignation of the then FIFA president, Sepp Blatter. The event will cost Qatar about $220 billion, which includes the total reported bidding cost of $880 million. In return, the World Cup will generate more than 15 million new jobs in key sectors like construction, real estate, hospitality, and tourism. Qatar also stands to benefit positively from the social and cultural aspects of hosting the World Cup. There will be an increase in tourism and foreign investment. The country set out to build 7 new stadiums, airports, $20 billion worth of new roads and public transports, a bridge to neighboring Bahrain, which will be the longest in the world, 54 team camps, and sleek new hotels for spectators. This is such a massive project, given that they have only a deadline of 12 years. This created a building boom, and to compensate for that, Qatar began outsourcing for more workers from Southeastern Asian countries like India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and other countries like Kenya. As far back as 2012, the Human Rights Watch made a 146-page report titled "Building a Better World Cup: Protecting Migrant Workers in Qatar Ahead of FIFA 2022", which highlighted the abuse migrant construction workers face and suggested that sponsorship laws or kafala be reformed. By February 2021, a report by Pete Patterson of The Guardian revealed that over 6,500 migrant workers have died in Qatar's World Cup prep since 2010. Some of the causes of death were workplace accidents, suicides, and a so-called natural death, which essentially means that they are sudden and unexplained. Most commonly, these natural deaths are linked to cardiac or respiratory failure. A huge problem also highlighted in the report was that there is no actual medical understanding of the real causes of these deaths, and that's largely because Qatar seldom does autopsy. According to Amnesty International, the workers were forced to work for months without pay and were housed under poor conditions. You may ask yourself, why couldn't the workers just go on strike or leave the country if they were facing abuse? Well, it's not that simple. The reason is the kafala or sponsorship system of employment in Qatar. Before a migrant worker is granted employment, he needs to have a sponsor. The sponsor is responsible for the employee's visa and legal status. This prevents migrant workers from changing jobs, going on strikes, or leaving the country without a sponsor's permission. As pressure mounted, the Qatari government made reforms to deal with these issues, but unfortunately, these reforms have been poorly implemented, according to the Human Rights Watch. Now, how has the football community responded? During the World Cup match qualifier against Gibraltar on March 24, 2021, the Norwegian national team wore t-shirts bearing the message "Human Rights on and off the pitch" in support for migrant workers in Qatar. Although FIFA's law prohibits players bearing any political, religious, or personal slogans, the football's governing body confirmed Norway will have no case to answer, citing decision on freedom of speech. Germany also donned t-shirts that spelled out "Human Rights" before they clashed with Iceland. Midfielder Leon Goretzka, who scored Germany's opening goal, said of the protest, "We wrote the letters ourselves. We have a large reach, and we can use it to set an example for the values we want to stand for." That was clear. The Netherlands also used their match against Latvia to call for change, wearing t-shirts with the inscription "Football supports change." Defender Matthias de Ligt had said ahead of the match that the Dutch team will make a statement about the human rights situation in Qatar, saying it's a very difficult situation for workers' rights there. Dutch grass supplier Hendrix Glasodin has supplied turf for major tournaments in recent years. They did this at the 2006 World Cup and the 2008 and 2016 European Championships, and also seemed to be taking care of the grass for the World Cup in Qatar. However, after visiting the country, the company changed its mind and decided not to supply grass for the fields of the stadiums of the World Cup in Qatar. One of their sales agents said, "We saw how the stadiums were built there. Not all workers wore protective clothing. We did not like that attitude from the organization. You can see the difference between the residents of Qatar and the people working. The locals wore long white robes, while the workers look a lot less dignified." Elsewhere, the boycott calls have prompted Abidjan's Landsbank to consider withdrawing its sponsorship from the Danish national team. Denmark and Norway are also considering opting out of the 2022 World Cup. It is worth noting that boycotts of sporting events and the FIFA World Cup are nothing new, as similar ones happened around the 1938, 1966, 1978 and 2018 World Cups, with the most significant being the 1966 tournament hosted in England, when all African countries refused to play after FIFA pulled teams from continents of Africa, Asia and Oceania to compete for just one qualifying slot out of the 16 reserved. However, the choice of boycotts is less likely to happen because, according to FIFA regulations, such a decision could lead a country to be disqualified from the preceding World Cup or even the following ones and to receive several fines. Now, what has been FIFA's response to all of this? Well, FIFA said in a statement, "With the very stringent health and safety measures on site enforced by the Supreme Committee of Delivery and Legacy, or SC, the frequency of accidents on FIFA World Cup construction sites has been low when compared to other major construction projects around the world." FIFA President Gianni Infantino has said that he finds a boycott not the right solution and that nothing will be achieved. What has Qatar's response been so far? Qatar's Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, in a statement, said, "Since construction began in 2014, there have been 3 work-related fatalities and 3 non-work-related deaths. The SC has investigated each case, learning lessons to avoid any repeats in the future. This situation leaves a very dark stain on sports, particularly football." How would you handle this situation if you were the person in charge at FIFA? Let us know your thoughts below, and as always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe.